Hey, everybody. It's Dominic D'Angelo of Rumor and Innuendo. It is a Thursday, and I am of Ad Free Shows. I am of SC Scoops. I'm of several other podcasts, but I'm here today with Robert Karpelis, WD Creative _ish. Robert, happy Thursday, man.
I am of sound mind and body and here of my own free will.
Tremendous.
I'm legally required to say that just in case. Look, I just want to wrap this thing up so I can get to Ric Flair's Italian Bistro for a nice, tasty lunch.
He says it's good now, too. We'll get to that. But hey, we got to say hi to some folks in the room here, huh? Chris Couturer says, what does Tony Khan have a parking lot at an arena in Canada when he's injured in Jacksonville?
Let me try that one again.
Yes.
Reading comprehension world. Why does Tony Khan, why, not what, why does Tony Khan, I know the W's are always tough for you in WWE. Now I know the 5 W's, journalism, challenging for you as well. Why does Tony Khan have a parking spot at an arena in Canada when he's injured in Jacksonville? Chris, easy answer. Nobody talks to each other in that company.
It's a good one. Blink twice if you need help, says Lou.
That explains why I'm blinking furiously. And Antonio Santos says, happy Thursday. Let's have some pizza. And by that, he meant Factor. Use promo code Rumor50.
Robert, let's get to it. I showed up here like a kid without his homework assignment done because guess what? I didn't see a lick of AEW Dynamite, but I know you did. So,
you know I did because peek behind the curtain. Conrad always says that. You guys said there's no curtain behind either one of us here. We just finished recording Working Stiff.
Yes.
And that was, an hour and a half of me and Scott Chaplin and Dan St. Germain. Very high energy, very punchy type of broadcast. Always a lot of fun. One of the most fun things I get to do all week. So we just came from that to shift to here where it's a little bit more serious, a little bit more nuanced than there. And also, unlike Dom with his foul language yesterday, trying not to curse after an hour and a half of body language, as the kids would say. But yeah, we're going to talk AEW Dynamite that I watched earnestly and in full and live for the first time in quite some time.
Yeah, I was shocked by that. You were texting live as it was going on. I was like, wow.
Usually I'm watching Dynamite on DVR like first thing in the morning because home with the wife and none of that. She had to take my daughter to an event last night. My daughter was doing a choir performance for charity thing. So she took her to that, and I was home watching my son. And I'm like, you know what? I'm home. I've got the TV. I'm going to watch Dynamite live. And boy, did I ever. Dom, where do you want to start with this, or do you want me to just navigate this sucker on my own?
You know what? Let's let you navigate it here. You direct the ship. I know the pertinence that happened, but I would like to
the pertinence.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Yesterday we teased Kenny Omega big announcement.
Yes.
The big announcement that Kenny Omega made from his hospital bed. Anarchy in the arena will be at Double or Nothing. It will be the Elite. It will be the Young Bucks, Kazuchika Okada, and Jungle Boy, Jack Perry on one side. On the other side, Team AEW. He announced FTR and then teased by the end of the show we were going to get the last two folks who were going to be a part of this match. So that was your tease for the entire broadcast. I think the first thing that struck me as sort of odd and weird is Kenny Omega broadcasting from a hospital bed since he got, tummy punched again and he's got diverticulitis, was still able to book this match. Yet Tony Khan, who was on television last week, nowhere to be found. He's like hermetically sealed in a bubble, like Bubble Boy, like with the moops. Yes. And we just don't see him. And he's just letting the EVPs run wild. I get if the idea here was he was like Elliot Gould in Ocean's 13 and he's just in a coma. And comatose Tony Khan would be super entertaining, like QT Marshall sponging his head to keep him like hydrated and make sure that he's all right. But like Tony's alive and well and tweeting, and yet we don't hear from him. We don't see anything with him. It's like he's ceded power to this weird EVP power struggle. And then the other piece of this was I tried to justify why Christian Cage was getting this world title shot. Why Matthew or Nicholas Jackson were not saying, you know what, one of us should step up and be world champion, or Kazuchika Okada, or Jack Perry. And Scott Chaplin, my co-host on Working Stiff, had said, well, you're an idiot. The Bucks, they're all cowards. That's why they're not going to go face Swerve. They're all cowards, Dom.
Mm-hmm.
These cowardly heels accepted the challenge. So I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm trying to make narrative sense of what I'm seeing on this show, and it's why I get a little frustrated with AEW, a little frustrated with what Tony and Co are doing, because it has to make some degree of sense. And if you're doing a power struggle and the idea is Kenny can force them into a match, cool. But if they're just willfully accepting what's kind of a dream match scenario, within their world, a dream match scenario, then they're not being heels.
Right. They're not steering clear of like what the trouble may come of having an Anarchy in the arena match when they're supposed to be cowards. Yeah, I don't take as much exception probably that you do, maybe, with Tony not being on television. I think that's kind of a good thing. That's kind of what we wanted, right? Is hey,
no, that you and I are on two different worlds. There is a perverse joy in seeing Tony Khan. It's and I think it's just having worked with Vince. It's like there's a reason Adam Pearce was the authority figure for so long, because he was so awkward and uncomfortable on camera that it was probably popping Bruce and Vince. So they're like, you know, keep putting him on there because it's funny. Tony on camera is so cringeworthy, uncomfortable. It's not my favorite version of Tony, though. My favorite version of Tony was when they were feuding with TNA. And he would go on TNA as the heel Tony Khan. Oh my God. I could watch that every week and not get sick and tired of it. This weird Mark Zuckerberg-esque, like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor in the DCU kind of heel. Give me that 100 times out of 100. But what it just bugs me, because I think someone pointed out in the comments, was Chris Cutler, who said, you know, hey, they at one point they showed like a parking spot and it was like reserved for Tony Khan, and yet the Bucks park in that spot to be like, it's us, not him. Well, then why is there a parking spot in the first place? You have to assume if he's not medically cleared, you're not setting it up for him. So, logic aside, and people get mad all the time. You can't point out logic. Let's focus on matches. Let's focus on matches, Mr.
Let's focus on matches. Yeah, Robert.
Orange Cassidy and Trent opened the show. Hell of a match. Hell of a match. But we said it yesterday. We were both surprised they were giving this away on free TV. And they did not hold back, Mr. D'Angelo. They fought throughout the building. It got intense. We got a clear, clean win. Orange Cassidy beating Trent Beretta. And then after the match, Trent attacks Orange Cassidy. And he pile drives him onto the steel steps, which in wrestling world, you're dead.
Yes.
In wrestling world, you are carted out. There is a stretcher. There is an ambulance. There's that weird, like, the somber voice.
Somber voice.
Oh, no. Guys, we don't know how he is. Not Alex Marvez's guys.
Hey.
Mercedes needs help. Hey, but this is like in real world, like that should have been the moment. Like you cart him off, and now it's Trent Beretta has taken out Chuck Taylor. They've now said Chuck may have career-ending surgery. He's now taken out Orange Cassidy. Will our hero, Orange Cassidy, come back in a neck brace, be Superman, pull it off, and make the save? Instead, he pops like right back up like a minute later, and they're back to fighting. You got to preserve certain spots. And I'm not trying to be Cornette. I'm not trying to be like, you know, goddamn, the power bomb is the end of the world, and that's it. The match is over. Like, but when you use something like that and protecting it, you're not helping the business.
You're not helping your entire show either, because there's like somebody's getting up from that. How is anybody else going to get up from a power bomb later on in a match or something like that? It doesn't make sense.
Well, something else that happened on this program, and we've been critical of the way they've booked Swerve. Obviously, big Swerve fan, big Christian fan.
Yes.
Christian Cage's promo on Swerve, not his best work. It was talking about how Swerve has like gold because he's got gold teeth and he's gonna take his gold teeth, and it was strange. But then Swerve gets flanked by the Mogul Embassy, and as soon as those guys came out, I was like, oh, they're gonna turn on him. And sure enough, the Mogul Embassy turns on Swerve. And when you make your world champion look this continually dumb, it does not pay dividends. It does not make the audience feel like we want to back this guy. It just makes your world champion seem foolish, and that's not a position you want to put Swerve in.
Yeah, I think I obviously I don't know how it was executed or anything to that effect, but I wouldn't think he looks stupid though from that. If he were there come out and then they were to attack him, I think he just got his back against the wall. And I think you guys mentioned this on Working Stiff too, was that we want to see Swerve kind of be a lone wolf in certain ways. I think because I think that adds to his personality and who he is as a champion, what it will kind of moving forward, and having the deck stacked against him with all this stuff kind of makes a little bit more sense. I'm not as against that, but again, though, I'd have to see it in execution to really
Because I think part of it we used to see it a lot in WCW
Mhm.
with people like turning and then joining the NWO.
Sure.
And when you kept making Sting look dumb over and over and over, like I trust this guy and then he turns on me. I trust this guy and he turns on me. You wind up blaming them for being stupid. It's just a
Sure.
natural thing that winds up happening. I don't think this positioned Swerve in any great shakes where you're like, oh, you know what? Now I'm extra sympathetic to him. It's like, no, your own guys turned on you and joined Christian. What's going on? And then what do I want to see? Do I want to see Swerve get revenge on the Mogul Embassy? Do I want to see
Yeah,
him face Christian? Do I want him to go after the Bucks?
it's short term to kind of think in that regards. Oh, okay. So, and you guys mentioned this too on Working Stiff. Plug for Working Stiff. Is that
We're in a different world, Tom. Pretend nobody has heard it because nobody's heard it. You were the only audience member live for that because we don't open it up to the general public.
But so we happen to, they happen to, yeah, they did. You're just setting up matches. It's going to be filler matches up and build to probably Double or Nothing, where we're going to see him probably take on the Mogul Embassy one on one or something like that. It feels a little lazy. It has the potential to be lazy. Let's just say that.
It's a lot of stuff, and I don't think a lot of it is electrifying or great stuff. What was great stuff, in addition, I think the Orange Trent match was absolutely fantastic. There was a match between Brody King and Adam Copeland that turned into a hardcore bloodbath.
Mm.
The match was a lot of fun. Seeing Copeland, dig deep and go to the extremes that he was willing to go for this story, I like it. I'm curious to see what the ultimate payoff is going to be. There was the reveal at the end of the show with the other two members of this team AEW. So one of them, clearly, Tony, every day noon Eastern, tuning in to Rumor and Innuendo
While eating Factor.
I hate you so much. Yes, while eating Factor, if he can lift the spoon with his neck or his fork, or maybe they have something for like neck injured people. The smoothies you could probably have just with the straw, and those are damn good. This is even like the non-factor plug. It's just kind of weaving through. It's very, very tasty. There's little green juice thing. I love those ridiculous things. Anyway, we said yesterday Eddie Kingston should be the guy defending AEW. And you know who showed up, Tom? Eddie Kingston. Mm-hmm. No backstory, because clearly they assume that our show is part of continuity. So my booking of yesterday, they're like, oh, that makes sense. And Tony's like, put it on there. The other person they revealed, the fourth man, it's Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
I don't understand anything to do with that move other than the fact that they just wanted to put together a cool match. Danielson, the last time we saw him, he was injured during that Will Ospreay match.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He was carted out. What's the future of Danielson? A lot of questions, a lot of uncomfortable moments. And it was storyline. It was storytelling moments with Ospreay second guessing whether or not he's going to use that one particular Tiger Driver anymore. And then Don saying, you have to keep using this. You need to be cutthroat and vicious. So you're thinking, okay, when Bryan comes back, it's going to be him talking about the neck injury. It's It's going to be him talking about what happened to his head, what happened during that Ospreay match, and whether that is him telling Ospreay, like, look, you got to get away from the Don Callis family. You're better than this. Or him saying, I would have done the same thing. Killer instinct. Let's go again. It all goes out the window. It doesn't matter. It's now he's part of this feud.
Right.
We don't know why.
Yeah. What's the point of that?
He's also in his own stable. I don't know if you're aware of this. There's a group called the Blackpool Combat Club. That with the IWGP World Champion, the most important belt in all elite wrestling, Mr. John Moxley, like him and Claudio, it was such a weird fourth. But on the other hand, in Tony world, continuity is not as important as what's the coolest match that we can set up, and it's all right. Let's put Bryan Danielson in there because that match at Double or Nothing is gonna be a great match.
Yeah.
You're going to have Danielson in there with Okada. He's going to mix it up with the Young Bucks. He's going to mix it up with Jack Perry. The match will be fantastic on paper, and it's kind of like shame on you for trying to pay attention to the continuity of AEW because they are a company that is built entirely on delivering the big pay-per-views, delivering those big moments, and that's what people remember, guys. They remember the big moments, and if you want your partner to remember the big explosive moments, then can we talk to you about Blue Chew? This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Let's talk about sex. Guys, remember the days when you were always ready to go? Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Visit BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, Dom, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. I know some of you guys think that my takes on AEW are a little stiff, but you're going to be more than a little stiff because Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code RUMOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code RUMOR to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode of Rumor and Innuendo.
Yes, thank you, Blue Chew. Robert,
what?
You think Chris Jericho?
I thought we were done with AEW. You asked me to talk about I skipped Jericho.
We got a little bit more.
I pruned the learning tree.
Well, I heard some positive things about this relationship. What they kind of did with Jericho and Big Bill. What did you think?
Hold on, guys. I just want to clarify. I want to clarify here.
Rumor and Innuendo, Robert.
Rumor and Innuendo is, again, the other show that we recorded. Dan was like, I kind of like this one joke that Jericho had. No, you're being lured in, like the white van with candy and puppies. It was Jericho made a reference to how his cage side seat rating for one of his matches was the highest of the week last week.
That's great.
It's great because it's nonsense, and it's like that. All right, so it's like, all right, I guess we forgive you now. It's wonderful. What I don't understand is Chris Jericho and Matt Jackson are literally playing the exact same character, the disingenuine, fake, like, hey, buddy, go have a great match. Hey, I want to see you improve in your career. Like, they're not even talking to one another. This is like having two different clown gimmicks on the same show, and then them being like, oh, well, Doink was on earlier, but here comes, Dink. But they're unrelated, totally separate segments. Doink and Dink don't even know about one another. It's goofy. It's weird. It's AEW. And some people like the car crash element of what they're doing. Matches were fine. It's just you sometimes try to apply sense to an illogical situation, which is pretty much the tagline for Rumor and Innuendo.
It is. I tell you, I think you sold me on that segment.
Oh, sorry. There was a comment here from Ken who said, Danielson has backstage authority, Robert. Don't be such a loser. This ruled. Sorry, Scott Chaplin just took over my keyboard. So Bryan Danielson's backstage authority is real life authority, not kayfabe TV authority. And Bryan Danielson's authority does not usurp EVP authority. I made it work in continuity. Take that,
Wow.
Ken. Thank you for listening.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah. Oh, I can defend any of this stuff.
Let's see
I
if
almost said it. I held back.
Let's see if you can defend this. WWE and Saudi Arabia are enhancing their deal.
My God.
Apparently. According to ESPN, I'm not going to try to pronounce that person's name, but said,
"Thank you. We don't need to get letters."
Yes, said an enhancement to Saudi Arabia's existing agreement with WWE will be announced later this month. Specifically, this person's name is looking to bring January's annual Royal Rumble.
By the way, it's Alal Sheikh.
Oh, is that what it is? Alal
yes.
Sheikh?
If you see those shapes,
I would have definitely pronounced the H at the end.
Those shapes you're seeing are letters,
Alaska?
And they represent noises. And when you merge them together, you make words.
This is tough for a pro wrestling journalist, just so you know.
I'm not making any jokes about pro wrestling journalists. They're the finest. I'll blame it just on Pittsburghians.
We're joking.
Which, by the way, shout out to Troy Beck, who said, "Let's go Pens, Dom. Stop by my restaurant, Given to Fly, 2 blocks up from PNC Park."
I heard good things.
I don't know what that place is, but now I'm going to have to look this joint up.
But it's not in Saudi Arabia. And they're looking to bring January's annual
awkward. Well, no, you're right. Given to Fly is definitely not in Saudi Arabia.
They're looking, though, to bring Royal Rumble or WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia. And the person said, Alakish said, "We will do big things with the UFC and TKO." Robert, what do you think of them enhancing this deal with Saudi Arabia? I was kind of optimistic that this would be over and done with in a little bit after this 10-year deal excursion was over and done with. But they make money.
So it's not going away. They make way too much money. The amount of money they make off a single show is so incalculably astronomical. I mean, it's calculable. They count the number, but it's like the ROI on it is over the top insane.
Yeah.
So they're going to do stuff. I don't think they're going to give them one of the big 4. I know that the Saudi government is pushing for it. Nick Khan came out before and said the big 4, so Rumble, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and WrestleMania, are going to stay within the confines of the U.S. For the time being. They're not going to do something in UK or whatever. The Saudi government would have to pony up a significant amount of additional income because, given global politics, you're not going to get a lot of outside travelers who are going to a Saudi PLE. Most of these it's generally a paid show. They don't really care so much about ticket sales. They're just getting paid to show up. It's guaranteed income.
Right.
The amount of money you make off of a Rumble, off of a WrestleMania is 10x what they're making from one of these types of shows. They're not going to mess with it. They're not going to touch it unless they really think you're going to get the Saudi government to suddenly say, we're going to pay you $100 million for this type of show, in which case, yes, people will go and show up. But part of what makes WrestleMania so impactful, so important, is people travel from all over the world, and WWE runs all these ancillary events. So you have the NXT show, you have SmackDown, you have the Raw after WrestleMania, and the raucous crowds that are there, as well as the fan expos and events, and all those come with an individual price tag to them. You can run the Saudi show in May and make a fortune while also still running your big 4. So I would be surprised that it's a thing. And I do have to point this out because I've now gone down a rabbit hole on my computer. The show has ground to a halt. Given to Fly has a chicken sandwich that has Georgia peach and jalapeno jam with fried onions, and they call it the Midnight Rider.
Oh my goodness.
My hope is that this sandwich is unrelated to the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, who has never been the Midnight Rider. 2 different people seen him at the same time. It's 2 totally separate people.
2 totally different people,
if you will. So we're you know what? That's our other plug for the day. This free plug for this one restaurant in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I will not be supporting the Pittsburgh Penguins, as I do not like the Pittsburgh Penguins. As you're wearing your Penguins hat, I do love the fact that while at the Panthers, I got to do a Jaromir Jagr contract.
That's something else right there.
Oh, that was an all-time moment
You can't beat that.
of that dude. And the very first hockey game I went to was a Panthers-Penguins game.
Wow. Geez.
Yes. Big time stuff. No one cares. What they care about is it's a wrestling program. No one cares about hockey. I genuinely angry at the Panthers for making it to this round of the playoffs because the Offspring are playing down here tonight. And my buddy, who happens to be the radio play-by-play guy for the Panthers, was going to go with me. He can't because he's got to fly out to Boston for their next game. So I'll be missing the Offspring concert tonight.
Robert, are you meaning to tell me that they're keeping you separated?
Yes. I hate you so very. You know what? I don't hate you. In fact, I'm gonna apologize to Dom for all the mean things I said because I'm learning from the legend, the man of nothing but respect and dignity, Mr. Ric Flair.
Yes, see,
there it is. I knew you were going to get that. Eventually, you were going to see where we were going.
He apologized for some of for his actions at the Paisanos, the Stonefire Grilled Pizza.
Stop plugging this restaurant.
Flair just admitted on the MJ Morning Show on Q105 that it just escalated, and I was wrong for getting mad, but I kind of felt like I was defending my position. He also reconsidered his initial negative review of the restaurant, acknowledging that he enjoyed his time and meal there before the conflict arose. He also spent $1,500 and took photos with fans. So, Robert, a little bit of forgiveness goes a long way, right? Right.
I was looking up the MJ Morning Show on Q105 because I thought maybe it was like a QAnon radio show. It's close because it's in Tampa Bay. We're hosted by MJ, Fester, Froggy, and Roxanne. What a look! If you're going to get your news, guys, there's only one place to go, and that's Q105 with Fester and Froggy. And yes, to hear the Ric Flair apology, I think what happened is Ric Flair watched that video, and he thought before all this, public support was going to be entirely in his favor. These people, he went in there, he was friendly, he was nice, he signed autographs, took pictures, and then these people have the temerity to kick him out when he points out their own wrongdoing. And then he watched the video and it was like, oh boy, not a great look for me. Maybe I should maybe I should beg off a little bit and apologize. And yeah, he made the right decision here. He kept saying, I'm going to threaten legal action. I'm like, Rick, don't do this. And I'm sure people within his inner circle, within his family, were telling him the exact same thing of, Rick, please, for the love of God, just let this thing go. And no mention, I didn't notice last night a mention of Woo Energy. Now that I think of it.
Oh, seriously? No sponsorship popping up.
May have been there and I just didn't catch it. But yeah, I didn't notice. Or maybe it's not allowed across the border into Canada.
Could be it. That could be it.
They got very strict standards there, but I have very strict standards in how I spend my time outside of this show. And I only listen to the top podcasts produced by one Dominic D'Angelo. So Dom, where else can I find you?
Yeah, you can find me on two different shows on rvdtv.com. We got One of a Kind with RVD as we cover his early wrestling fandom, but we also talk about Kevin Owens wanting to have a match with him still, which is still up in the air. Rob is not ruling that out. So go and listen to that, but also go and listen to Right Down the Middle with Bill Alfonso, Fonzie Daddy. It's every Tuesday we're going to drop it. Every other Tuesday. It's a bi-weekly show, so be sure to check that out. Go to rvdtv.com, hit subscribe, hit like, comment, tell us what you want to hear from us. And then on top of it, go to fourhorsemannetwork.com for Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA, and Greg Gagne. We cover some good ground. Who ended WCW? Who was the culprit? Greg has an opinion. Magnum has an opinion. Very fascinating discussion. So check that out on fullhorsemannetwork.com. Robert, like we said, we just recorded Working Stiff. We got some good stuff this week happening down there.
Big stuff happening. Yeah, Working Stiff, really fun show this week. It'll be dropping, depending on when our producer actually gets it up there. Let's hope by tomorrow morning. Fingers crossed. But well worth going to check out. It's well worth coming to check this show out every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern. We have a hell of a time here on Rumor and Innuendo. You can catch us on a variety of X accounts, WWE Creative _ISH, Dominic D'Angelo, SE Scoops, Podcast Heat. Podcast Heat is who makes this show possible, as well as on YouTube. ad-free shows from Rumor and Innuendo. And if you like to consume this show in audio form, you can catch it every day. It's uploaded in the afternoon onto Spotify, iTunes, or wherever else you get your podcasts. So go and check it out. On behalf of the man that I have now spent the last 2.5 hours with, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpelis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Robert, you're pretty fly for a white guy.